all comes to like one single volume, guys. One chapter can change it all for a series, and the last one of the specific series now, Akame Ga Kill, ended. So this was something we'd seen the last chapter out for a while for this, and now it's finally been translated, and that's it. No more Akame. We're finally done with the series, and I wanted to do at least the last chapter on how I truly felt after everything. Due to the fact that I've had a pretty, I really enjoyed Akame for the longest run. I've had a lot of ups and downs with it, especially a lot of downs with kind of the last arc. I think if anything, that was the one bit where a lot of people really fell off the series and really didn't like what they did. So if anything, I'm going to be talking about the final chapter, and yeah, it's going to be doing it's. And day, I wish the creators and all that they do another work and all that, and hopefully be as successful as Akame Ga Kill, maybe get an anime or something. But still, let's talk about the final chapter, chapter 78 of Akame Ga Kill. It's nice to feel like something that I've read for quite a while. I've gone through the anime, I've gone through the manga. It's finally ended, and with the biggest things that with the complaints and all that with the series is, when is its ending compared to the Akame's anime ending compared to its manga ending. And I want to talk mainly about my favorite part of this is what it did was so much better with Leone, especially. Leone in the actual anime just kind of out of nowhere is oh, I just survived it, I was completely fine. With this, she got completely cut in half, although it was very brutal death. She actually fused with her Tegu alongside with what we saw with Tatsumi, and it was they said a lot more with saying I actually fused with my Danger Beast, but regardless of what and all that, it gave me a little bit more borrowed time to actually finish you off. And the fact that she was you're the final shit stain that needs to be cleaned, honest, and she's just punches Honest straight through the gut. You see his eyes are about to pop open, and it's really goddamn gruesome. It's I'm gonna let you have, it's not just me, I'm not gonna have my own little time with you, everyone gets to have their time with you, and it's there'll be no mercy to you, and throws her, especially Honest, down the same path that what she just went through. And you just saw after everything, he fell down, he's just oh my god, I'm in so much pain right now. And all of the people that want revenge and justice on this asshole is getting delivered right now, as you see that he's tied to a table. This is really grotesque. This is very brutal what's happening to this man, what people are doing to him. He's missing his limbs, his legs and foot being cut off and all that. His guts are out in the open. He's been castrated. His nose taken off. He had a giant knife go through his mouth that to get his nose ripped off. It was goddamn brutal what this guy was going for. He is an honest piece of shit, disgusting animal, and I was saying his execution was not censored and is left in the history books throughout there as one of the most gruesome, ghastly events, and one of the darkest times human beings, as they kind of showed their true colors a little bit, and where there's injustice was kind of finally done. And when Akame finally went to Leone and saying no, we can get a doctor to you now, you seem to be in a condition, she's no, you're fine. And even when Akame noticed she was already cold, her body was dead, she's only surviving out of pure hocus pocus magic at this point, and she's just I'm fine, I'm it's a miracle, and it's thanks to you and all that that I'm able to actually just do this, and it's I can live out my life. And one thing that I really kind of liked about her character at the end, it was just if anything, Akame, let me in the end choose how and where I die, my best friend. Let me do that. And she started tearing up, and that was a way better death for her than the anime. It's you knew what was gonna happen to her from the start, and it was she's let me have a drink up one last time, let me enjoy with my company, get it on with the guys, have a great time, my last moments on this earth. And then finally seeing as she's walking back and all that, she sees the path where she met Tatsumi for the first time, and it was just she's smiling, and then she fell on the floor. So I genuinely enjoyed this death scene way much more. Also as well, the little prime minister, after everything and all that, King Key got executed, and he was the one thing I can do in the end is actually, I can die as a man in general. And with it really tried to tie up a lot of loose ends from it, what happened to that one crazy chick that was assessed like Suzuka with S death, and it was oh, she just kept her hand and that was it. And it sounded they wanted to go with a lot of places. Also as well, with the whole thing, now we can talk about the weirder things in there and the stuff I didn't care about the chapter. we find out that like Tatsumi never really returned all back into a normal human being. Mine just out of nowhere stops becoming a vegetable and she's back to normal. And she, like, it was a bit of an emotional moment where he's just like, from now on, I'll be right by your side forever. And she just looks at him and she's like, you know, Tatsumi, are you there? And you know, they're holding each other. And turns out, like, she was actually pregnant, like, for all this time. Like, they were like right before that moment, I guess, before, you know, she turned into a vegetable. Tatsumi and her got it on, and you know, pretty much there was like, you know, I was going to try and make forget Tatsumi about, like, you know, S-Death, and I was like, well, that's one way of forgetting about it, you know, you open the fucking floodgates down there for Tatsumi to go in. And one thing, it was just like, yeah, it was kind of cute where it was like, you know, they're still into each other, and she's like going like, you know, baka like onto him. It's giant, it's just giant dragon just looking good. So it was that, but I still don't. I'm still a bit unsure about, you know, Tatsumi in the end staying into, like, you know, a dragon form. But like, from what they were like wrapping it up and saying, they had a child, they lived a peaceful life and all that, and they retired, you know, to the countryside after everything. And even like mentioning the people from the first chapter, like his village and shit like that, where it's like, oh, he still pays them after everything that they've done. Like, there was a ton of wrap-ups. Even like you find out Wave actually got really fucked up because he used 2 Tegus, and he's like, I need to see a doctor every now and then, and one of my organs are never gonna recover because of what I did. And it's like, even that, you see like Kurome is like suffering at the end as well. Like, doesn't like insinuate that she's dying, but more like she's going crazy as she's there with her sister holding her, and she's like, oh, how dare you kill me, I hear the voices and all that, they'd like tell her more struggling me. It's like, you know, I'm gonna always care, like, you know, you always have like Wave with you and all that, and I'll always care for you. And one thing that was really fucking goddamn weird in this chapter was the whole thing about Akame's curse, where this feels like something like the manga like may have wanted to go on after the war or something, or like some after chapter, or maybe in something, a new project they're working on, where they're talking about like Akame going on her own journey and talking about her actually trying to lift the curse. Like, from what we got told about the curse is like, you know, she's gonna have these like pains and all that, like the actual like Murasama like sword, and just a bunch of things that were just left off, like a bunch of characters that took over, and it's like all these Tegu users saying, oh yeah, no, they're gonna take care of everything from now on. I was like, okay, we didn't know anything about you guys, but that's fine. Akame ended up like, you know, keeping doing what she does best, which is, you know, killing people, and like just overall, it was just like, it was really trying to like wrap up a lot of things. Like Negenda apparently had like adopted a little child, but she never got married, and I kind of, that was one thing I kind of liked. I was like, nah, because at the end of everything and all that, Labak was the one. Like, Labak was the one that she would have spent time with. But it was like, and if anything, I'd like to say maybe that little kid that like picked up the ball might have been like Negenda. It never was shown like who exactly Negenda adopted. I would like to say it was someone like that kind of reminded her either Labak or something. And the whole fact that everything that Night Raid did is that it was never written in or in the history books after anything. Like, they kind of wiped Night Raid out of like the whole map for it. It was like, yeah, like some people know about the tales, but people don't need to know about these assassins after what they did. And it's just like, there were just weird parts of it, and it's just like, at the end of it, like, you know, like what we saw in the comments, she was like, oh, at the end of the day, she was the one that ended up all alone. Like, she thought she was going to be with everyone, where it was going to go to sea and all that, like, let's see what's outside the Empire. And it was like, no, she's on her own, and she's like, no, I survived, and I have to find a road to grow from here. And that's how it ended. Like, she just going into the sunset, pretty much. That was it. And I was like, it just felt weird. And that's the thing, I've said multiple things about Akame where its final arc is shaky. It really is, where I think it's safe to say that the final arc of Akame is probably the worst arc of the manga. Like, if anything, like, it got lazy. Like, it generally felt like, it's like, no, let's just keep doing the same things what the anime did, and that's what they kind of scripted up for it. And, you know, Claymore, like, it's fine for, like, the ending. It's like, you know, that's kind of what I've seen with multiple mangakas, where it's like, they're gonna pen up saying, this is what I have idea for, like, a final arc, or how I want to wrap it up, and then the anime takes its own, like, you know, interpretation. They just pretty much did the same thing as the anime. They didn't try anything different really until like a couple of moments here and there. And like, if anything, the manga's ending like really fleshed out a lot more about what happened to multiple characters like, and also as well a couple of them like surviving and stuff like that, and obviously like in the actual, because now we can talk about this, in the anime Tatsumi died, like that was one thing, like he became the super ultra mega dragon mode instead of like him actually becoming a giant dragon and actually surviving with Mine. Like Mine as well died, and it was like a bunch of characters, like more people survived in the manga than they did in the anime, so that was something. And overall, like, yeah, like I came a little bit sour on the series after a while, and I've done this as well, like Blue Exorcist. Like, Blue Exorcist anime just came out, and I'm really enjoying it, and, like, it's adapting my favorite arc of the manga, but even as well, I really felt sour with, like, Blue Exorcist for a while, because I got tired of, like, the eyebrow bitch arc. Like, couldn't stand that shit. Like, I thought it was the worst part of it, and now that I'm actually reading, like, and actually seeing, like, you know, like, a bit of the anime again, it made me, like, a little bit more, you know, happy with the series. I was like, oh, I want to continue it again, you know, after everything, you know. There's a lot of material I'm pretty sure I'm seeing, and I heard some good things. So, overall, it's like, not a full final impressions of the manga, but what did I really feel like about the ending of Akame? I mean, for someone that's, like, owns, like, the collector's edition, who, like, well, albeit, like, was probably one of the ones that defended a lot of things about Akame. Is Akame the best thing in the whole universe? No, of course not. It is absolutely not. Like, you know, I own like about the 15 volumes I think they're concerned to release. I own around about like 6 of them. I own about like over half of the material for that series. Like I own up to volume 6 of the manga, and it's like, well, how do I generally feel? Like, I mean, like, out of all like these volumes I have overall, like, what was the experience for it? And I don't know, like, I enjoyed it. I still remember reading those early chapters and loving it. I was like, yeah, that's the fucking best. And then even when, like, I caught up and the insane shit with S-Death and Susanoo, like, all of that stuff was still amazing and fantastic. The problem is, like, I still remember the more recent stuff, which puts like a little bit of a sour note on me for this series. So, whether or not I enjoy the ending, it's not, because I enjoyed parts of the endings, and the other bits I was like, oh, that's either stupid, or that was just forced just to wrap up immediately because of, like, what happened to it, and it was like, oh, that's bullshit, or, like, you know, it's like, so it's a very mixed ending, but there is a part of me that's there, like, going, fuck, like, you know, like, I'm gonna miss the series, like, after all its stumbles, but that's it. Like, you know, that's at the end of the day, and it's like, that's Akame Ga Kill for you, and I'm gonna collect, like, the final, like, volumes of the manga. I mean, I have a third of it. I might as well, like, finish off the collection, and then who knows, like, once I've got all the volumes, I'll actually, like, you know, reread it at some point, you know. But is it better than, like, you know, stuff like, you know, that are out there, like a Tokyo Ghoul? No. Is it something like, you know, like, where it's like, I'll hold it with such fanfare that I did with Claymore when I read the Claymore manga? No, but did it still give me a great amount of entertainment, like, along the way with some of the stuff that it's done? Yes. Did it stumble and fuck up along the way? Oh, yes, it did a lot. There were very questionable decisions there, but I still remember when I saw Larbuk die, and it's like, you know, no, that's my favorite fucking character. Fuck you, don't do that to me. And it's like, getting emotions, and it's like, this is like some Game of Thrones shit, like, you know, like, where, like, any character, and it's like, it's a shame where it didn't have the writing of Game of Thrones, but it's like, it still gave you opportunities to care about characters, and it was like, that's how I felt at the end of the day. And overall, I did care about characters. I really liked S-Death. I did like, you know, like Larbuk. I did grow on Tatsumi for a bit, and then fell off a bit with him. Leone, like, you know, Susanoo, like a bunch, like, you know, Chelsea. There was a bunch of characters I really like, Bula, like, so it did do that to me. And overall, yeah, I think it had a decent ending, if anything. Is it an amazing ending? No, absolutely not. It's not like everything was amazing, you know, one start from another. But I'm kind of confused with, like, what could, like, the possibility with what they were talking about is, like, maybe we might see like Akame again, like, maybe, like, in another series and all that, where she's not the main character or anything, but, like, it sounded like they really wanted to do, like, another arc of her, like, trying to break the curse or something. And that was the problem with Akame, like, Ga Kill, whereas, like, it was forced just to wrap up the one, like, big saga of, like, dealing with these guys, dealing with the Empire, and Akame couldn't get itself out from that storyline. I think it would have been interesting if, like, we went overseas and see what other kingdoms were like the Assassins. So we'd have to see. But other than that, yeah, like, 6. I think it was a fine, like, ending, but I wasn't, like, head over heels for it. And the same thing we're having now with the manga, where I do enjoy it, but I'm not where I was super hardcore amazing about it. I still think the moments that I really loved and enjoyed and I think they were fantastic, I still stick to my guns with that. But yeah, that finale though. So that's at the end of the day how I feel about it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. That is all from me though. So thank you for like all you guys staying for the Akame chapter reviews. I really appreciate that. Some of you guys have been there since day one when I started talking about my first impressions of it. Same thing with like you guys that started at the anime as well. So that's it. Thank you, and I'll see you guys though in the next video perhaps. So take care guys.